Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Folks, it's the second week of the second Trump presidency, and America is having some second thoughts. I'm still working on some of my first thoughts, because I gotta be honest with you, I don't think I've been honest with you. I'm not trying to be dishonest. I'm trying to preserve what's left of my mind. Because this is not my first Trump rodeo. And I say rodeo because of all the bull. We all know, we've been here, we all know what it's like to drink from this man's fire hose of hate and lies every day. But daddy's all full, thanks. But you gotta pay attention anyway, it's part of the gig. If only to hold on to the knowledge that none of this is normal. Because his MAGA goons and the spineless apologists want you to believe that this is all normal and that you're crazy. It was easier to resist that idea the first time around. Even though he had won the election, he lost the majority vote, and the majority is always sane. But this time he won both. So you might start to suspect that maybe you're crazy. Nope, it's still him. So you gotta pay attention. So you gotta pay attention. Specifically, you gotta pay attention to what he's doing now, not what he did 4 years ago, because it might be different. Hopes aren't high, but maybe after 4 years in the wilderness, the humiliation of a failed coup and the criminal convictions, maybe this time we'll see another side of him. Turns out there is no other side. He's two-dimensional. He's fascist Flat Stanley. And he's got nothing new. It turns out there's nothing more in that bag. He's got nothing new to offer, even in a crisis. Take, for example, last night, there was a tragic plane crash over the Potomac. And I personally want to offer my deepest sympathy and condolences to everyone who lost a loved one in this terrible accident. Well, this morning, as 67 families were waiting in unapproachable grief, desperate to find out what happened to their loved ones, the President of the United States took that moment of their tragedy, the tragedy for these people who I'm confident are not concerned with politics right now, to, without any evidence whatsoever, blame DEI and Democrats for the deadly plane crash. One reporter at the press conference asked this obvious question.
Trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay?
No, not okay. No common sense and no common decency. He blames everything on DEI. It's his only game. The horrific fire sweeping through Los Angeles, DEI in the fire department. Violence in America, DEI in the police departments. Grocery prices, DEI chickens. Folks, I don't understand why all of a sudden we have these brown eggs. When did that start? It's not, you need the smartest eggs you can get in there, folks. I've never seen a brown omelet, right? That these aren't the eggs that Mom used to lay, that's all I'm saying. So, it's day 10, but already things in America are far from normal. Case in point, yesterday, Trump ordered the preparation of Guantanamo Bay to house migrants. Okay, to all of his supporters who kept saying, he's not gonna build camps. You're right, he's not. He's refurbishing camps. This is a bad and stupid idea for a lot of reasons. One is because Trump explained it this way.
Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo.
Yes, it's true. Most people don't know that we have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo. And you know why? Because we don't. That might be why instead of 30,000 people in Gitmo, as of last year, the facility was holding only 4 migrants. That's a considerable difference. Honey, I know you already set the table for 4, but can you add a couple more plates? I invited Poughkeepsie. It seems obvious that the folks in charge of this are not serious people. Case in point, Secretary of Homeland Security Noem, seen here taking bids on this vintage man head. Yesterday, Noem was asked about the new plan for Gitmo, and this was her attempt at talking.
We're going to utilize Guantanamo Bay to a more expansive a purpose, and that we will be going and putting resources there to make sure we have the space to getting people out of this country right away that will make sure our country much more safe.
Our face will be so country safe through which utilization will America resources. In conclusion, Guantanamo Mañana Moana 2 in theaters now. Thank you. Next question. More evidence that they're not taking this stuff seriously. The White House has told federal agents to be, quote, camera ready in tactical gear for a made-for-TV look. Unfortunately, they didn't say what kind of TV, and one agent arrived at a raid dressed as the Masked Singer Pineapple. On Tuesday, turned out to be Tommy Chong. On Tuesday, Noem herself joined an ICE raid here in New York City, and from the looks of it, she thought they were raiding a glamour shots. Noem's not just going for glam for deportations. She's also spicing things up at the office. This week, Noem addressed staff at DHS for the first time, and she used some unusual entrance music.
One hot mama, you turn me on, let's turn it up and turn this room into a sauna. One hot mama, oh, what do you say, babe? You want?
Good afternoon.
Seems like a weird choice, but there is precedent. We all remember when President Obama announced that Osama bin Laden was dead.
Good evening.
Trump and his lackeys justify everything they're doing by saying they're only deporting the dangerous ones, the Los Hannibal Lectores. Like that plane load of Colombians their government refused to let land, in part because they were all handcuffed.
We were being scolded because we had them in shackles in an airplane, and he said, this is no way to treat people. Now, you understand, these are murderers, drug lords, gang members, just the toughest people you've ever met or seen.
What we gotta understand is that everything you say is a lie. Because according to the Colombian government, of those 200 Colombians, none of them were criminals. Now, I don't know if we can trust what the Colombian government says, but what we can verify is that among the more than 200 deportees were 2 pregnant women and more than 20 children. Yeah, but children can be so vicious, folks. Just a few months ago, they were all going door to door demanding candy. Some were vampires, some were cowboys with little guns. I saw one wicked witch, and her little brother was a dinosaur. What if she turned him into that dinosaur with a spell? We can't take any chances. She could turn the stewardess into a T-Rex, and then with the little arm, she wouldn't be able to point out the exit doors. She wouldn't, or open a Diet Coke. So that's not great. Really? For me? Do you want the whole can? Great. But people's, in Trump's orbit say, okay, maybe these children aren't criminals, but they're not American citizens. Except when they are, because on Friday, a toddler, his mother, and his grandmother, all American citizens, were taken to an immigration detention center by U.S. officials in Milwaukee after they were overheard speaking Spanish. Hey, ICE dummies. Some Americans can speak other languages. For instance, I took 7 years of Latin. Are you going to deport me to ancient Rome? Please, because I want to meet Denzel Washington. Now, Rome. Oh, no. Rome. We love Rome. Oh, yes. Rage. Turns out, the family had been born in Puerto Rico, and after the mother showed them their birth certificates, officials became apologetic, with one of them saying, I'm so sorry. He would have said lo siento, but then he would have had to detain himself. We got a great show for you tonight. My guests are Nicole Kidman and from NBC, Jacob Soborow. When we come back, it's Meanwhile, y'all. Join us, won't you?